Hey, my Legion, how y'all doing today? I'm here with my buddy John, and we're going to be doing a review of
Cold in July.
Cold in July. But first, I wanted to thank Lita Ferry. She does, Keith the Goth guy. I found out about her through the Werewolf tag that Queenie Todd did, which I found out from Leather and Jade, my friend Leather and Jade. And I found out about her channel a little later on, and I found she did requested reaction videos, and she's she's in her early 20s, and I'm a lot older. And I asked her if she'd do a review for DRI, her reaction video for the DRI song Thrash Hard, one of my favorite songs. And DRI stands for Dirty Rotten Imbecile, and she was kind enough to do it. We watched the video now, and we realized she liked the song too. It was awesome. I wanted to thank her for that. And she was saying she never heard of the band before. It's really cool. Us older guys introducing the younger kids different types of music just as heavy.
And don't feel bad, I never heard of them either.
I've never heard of me. I found out about them in Germany. When I was in the Army, because I was going home, I think on a bus from Bremerhaven or Osterholz. And one guy said, I bought a couple albums for this one guy. Because back then we used the term speed and metal. I never say that now. And he said, if you like that kind of stuff, I have this band you might like called DRI. And he showed the four of a kind, and also the thrash on one, which the thrash hard's on, and that's how I found out about the band Dirty Rotten Imbeciles. And from that I found out about bands like Gang Green, which is like skateboarding music. It's very cool stuff.
All right.
And I want to thank Lita Ferry once again for doing that thing. She's awesome.
All right, back to our normal review.
Back to our normal review.
Now, the book Jason's going to show you, it's not Cold in July. I don't have that book, but this is the best of Joe R. Lansdale. You guys might be familiar with some of his works. He did Bubba Hotep, which is a fantastic movie where Bruce Campbell plays the real Elvis Presley while he swapped lives with an impersonator, and he's the one that actually died. Where the real Elvis Presley is still alive, and he's a retirement nursing home with the real JFK, played by Ozzie Davis. And Mummy shows up in the Battle of Mummy. It's great comedy. He also there's an episode of Masters of Horror by Don Coscarelli. Is that the same thing?
I think so.
Yeah, that most well known from Phantasm movies. You don't have to keep holding the book up. Okay. I think people got the idea. Yeah. I think it was called On and Off the Mountain Road.
On and Off the Mountain, and Angus Grimm is in that. Yeah. It's a great thing.
Yeah. What's nice about the book is it shows his range of story styles. He does comedy ones like Bubba Hotep, and there's one in there, I think it's called something like Godzilla's 12-Step Anger Management. So he does some really funny ones, but he also does some very serious ones, some dramas, and some creepy stories. Cold in July is a more serious movie. If you watch the trailer, check it out. But don't worry, the trailer doesn't give stuff away, because the movie is kind of different. You're like, oh, that's not what I was expecting. And the movie is written and directed by Jim Mickle, no S, and his writing partner is Nick D'Amici, I believe. And how I think we both first discovered these two was they did a movie called Mulberry Street, which is one of the 8 films to die for. Yeah. I think it was the original batch. Yeah. Now, Jason hasn't seen as many of theirs. Now, they've only done a few movies, but I've liked them all. And I think I've only seen them ever on video, like through Netflix. The second one they did was called Stakeland, which stars D'Amici, or however you say his name, and it co-stars Danielle Harris, if you guys remember her. She goes by the Horror Gal. She's been in, was it 4 of the Halloween movies? I think 3 or 4. So. I know she did at least one of the original. Maybe it was only one of the original, and then two of the two Rob Zombie ones. She's been in a lot of horror movies, and she loves doing horror.
Oh, she was in she's the one that played a young girl in Halloween 4?
Yeah,
and then Halloween 5 too, and then she was on Roseanne, I think.
Danielle.
Yeah,
she was only like 12 when she did the first
she
one.
Was 12. I mean, older.
Yeah.
Older.
She's older now. But she was 12 when she... Well, she still looks like she's 12.
Yeah.
She was, I think, like 12 years old when she did the first Halloween movie that she was in, the fourth one of the original series. And I guess she wore the costume from the movie when she went out trick-or-treating that year.
Oh, wow.
Anyways, Mickle's second movie, those guys... Oh, Kelly Preston. I believe, wasn't she from... was it Top Gun? Is that what she's from?
I think so, yeah.
Something like that. She's in it too, and it's about the world. It's like all these vampires suddenly appear and start spreading their vampirism, and these guys team up with it and start to go trying to survive. The third movie was a remake of, I believe it was a Mexican film. I can't remember the title of that one, but their remake's good. It's called We Are What We Are. It's about a family of cannibals. Kelly Preston is in that, and also... Now I've brain farted, forgot the guy's name again from Red State.
Michael Parks.
Michael Parks is in that.
He always plays the Nutso Wacko. He played Nutso Wacko.
Although not in that movie, he's not a wacko.
But I mean, he played one in Death Wish 5. Death Wish 5.
Right.
The last Charles Bronson Death Wish movie.
And now their fourth movie is Cold in July, which it's pretty wild that who they got for that, because it stars... I gotta make sure I get the right name. Michael C. Hall. I don't want to say Anthony.
Yeah.
Michael C. Hall, who starred as Dexter. It has a famous actor / playwright Sam Shepard, and Don Johnson from Miami Vice and Nash Bridges. And it's a very good movie. It starts off where someone breaks into Dexter. I call him Dexter. Hall's home, and he kills the guy. He didn't mean to shoot him.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like the aftermath of, but it kind of changes. So it changes genres because it starts off like a crime movie, and then it turns into like a buddy movie, then a Western movie. I think that's how the guys themselves described it. What did you think of it?
I really enjoyed it. I mean, I think my father would enjoy it. I don't know if he would have. It had a serious tone, and then it started going into some humor. I don't know if he would appreciate the humor after having a serious tone, because it let you off the hook. It had like a really tense tone throughout, and then it had humor, and then seriousness, humor. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I really enjoyed it. It was a great film. I think most people. I mean, it's like not a traditional horror. I mean, it could count as just for its tension stuff, but it's more like drama,
right,
with some action in it. It's very good. I give it a 9.5 out of 10.
Yeah, it's on Netflix, so check it out. I don't know what all ones of theirs are on instant. Because I couldn't find my Blu-ray. I kept meaning to show it to Jason. I don't know what the heck I did with my Blu-ray, but one of the extras on it, it has Q&A at like some festival, and between Jim Mickle and Joe Lansdale, and it's kind of interesting. They said they had trouble getting it made because it crosses the genres, and of course it's funny because one of the people in the audience attending their Q&A was George R. R. Martin, creator of Game of Thrones. But Lansdale, I forget how many years ago it was now, 6, 7 years, maybe more. He came out to the Erie Horror Film Festival Jason and I worked for. Jason was involved then. It was my second year with them. I was kind of an extra body. They put everybody up at this one hotel that was a little bit of distance from the Warner Theater. And so we had to shuttle the celebrities back and forth. And now Joe and his lovely daughter, Casey, who's a country singer, they actually drove. I think they were hitting up a bunch of different places, but they came out to Horror Fest. And I got to chauffeur them back and forth. Really nice people. Some of the nicest people you could ever meet. They're from Texas. So like the Cold in July takes place in Texas. And very sweet. And that was kind of interesting because he said they're from East Texas, which is kind of different than the Texas most people think of. where like most people think of, diehard conservatives and really nasty heat and stuff. Well, he said East Texas is more liberal, and the temperature, the climate's more like Georgia and stuff like that. But yeah, they were very nice people. Joe says he doesn't do that many conventions, and he says he ought to more. And he enjoyed himself at the Horror Fest, talked to some aspiring writers, things like that, and just some very sweet people. And I wasn't really that familiar with him. I knew of Bubba Hotep, of course, in a Master of Horror episode. Yeah. So that's why I bought that Best of Joe R. Lansdale, and that's good because, let's see, it gives you, like I said, a wide variety of stuff. Here, if you want to open up the table of contents.
Okay.
Let's see. Yeah. Well, aim it towards the camera.
Well, I know. I'm just trying to make sure I get.
Oh, you can't do upside down?
Well, I probably could. Oh, you got signed too.
Yeah, I got signed from Joe.
There we go.
Let's see. Yeah. So we're here. Hold it open. Okay. So. So you can see some of the titles. The one I wanted to point out. Yeah, this has an incident on and off a mountain road. Let's see. Where's the one I'm looking for? Maybe it's on the next page. Oh, no, there it is.
Okay.
A really wild story is On the Far Side of the Cadillac Desert with Dead Folks.
Oh, wow.
It has zombies wearing Mickey Mouse ears.
I mean, that one thing of that, that Godzilla, he was talking about Godzilla 12-step program. Yeah. I want to involve...
And there's Bubba Hotep there, too.
Yeah. I wonder if that involved stepping on Bambi. Remember Godzilla versus Bambi, that short black and white movie?
I don't know if I've ever seen that.
You never seen that? Oh, wow. That's from the 80s.
Orders the autograph.
Yeah. The autograph is right, I think, here. Oh, dang it. Wait. Dang it, Bobby. Right here.
Yep. So, I got his autograph.
That's
like I said,
awesome.
Really nice people. And then Jim and Joe actually teamed up. There's a series you can watch on Netflix. I watched the first season. It was good. It's called Hap and Leonard. About these two friends and some mischief to get into. It's a drama. It's worth checking out. I liked it the first season. I think the second season might be on Netflix now. Because I think that might be on Sundance channel. I don't know if they still have a channel. Because I thought they did. The Sundance Film Festival. I thought they had their own network.
I don't know if they still have it or not. I know IFC
and I thought it was made for that. Although IFC Films has produced some of theirs. And I think they have a channel. But I thought it was on that. And then, like Don Johnson, he really enjoyed working on that Cold in July. He would like to do more with that character. Oh, it's cool. Of course, unfortunately, Sam Shepard's passed away.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's good. It was a very different movie. It kind of just takes you along in these kind of different directions. It's like it starts off as one genre and changes, but it. We don't want to talk too much about the story because we don't want to give it away because just expect the unexpected, I guess.
Yeah.
Nothing outrageous, but it's just like, oh, wait, what's going on? This is interesting. So, I will now watch anything that Jim and his writing partner, what did I say his name was, Nick, do, because I've been happy with all four of the movies. Mulberry Street was a very low budget, where it's like, I call them, what was it, like... They seem like were-rats or something.
Yeah, were-rats and stuff. It's a very unusual movie.
Yeah. Very low budget, but very good. And then they did vampires and cannibals. And now, I don't know which you classify it as. You really can't. But like a multi-genre story. So I'm looking forward to see what those guys do next. Hap and Leonard's not too bad. And anything that's adapted by Joe R. Lansdale is probably going to be worth checking out, too. That's about all I have to say, which is quite a bit, but go ahead and say what you need.
Well, you mentioned Danielle Carrington. She went on to be a real smart alecky.
Danielle Harris?
Danielle Harris. Danielle Harris, from the... I don't know if it was the first film, Halloween 4. I saw it in the theater, 88, and then Halloween 5 came out. I think Halloween 5 was awful. That was a rush one. Just like,
which one was that?
The Revenge of Michael Myers, whenever they showed Michael Myers took off his mask and he was crying. He was in the jail cell and there was some guy... Shit, I'm telling the end of it. It's a bad movie. At least I thought it was a bad movie. And I mean, after that, she started being real smart. She was in one of my favorite Bruce Willis movies, The Last Boy Scout.
Yeah.
And I know the critics were complaining because she was swearing bad to F this, and she was still like young. I mean, when I said I liked her,
you mean as
I
an
mean
adult.
in her older movies. I mean her in her newer movies.
You know yourself in a hole.
I'm digging myself a great.
You like her? You attract to her now as an adult.
Not then. Now. I mean, and then she was on Roseanne and Rose. I mean, she was either with Becky or Darlene getting her into trouble, and she was
right.
Getting smart mouth.
But yeah, I forget how old she is, and she's in her 30s.
Yeah, I mean,
that
she's
much younger
fine now. Not
yeah, she's not
then.
that much younger than us.
You know, I mean,
well,
I mean,
maybe a decade or so.
Yeah.
We tried to get her to Horror Fest. She was interested, but it didn't work out. It's actually, I think, the 1 year we're working on her and Tiffany Shepis, who's she was interested in coming out, but she's apologizing because she got offered a movie role and she's getting paid some decent money, and me and Greg are like, no, don't apologize. Take the money. You're not gonna make as much. You know, she might make some good money to Horror Fest, but not as much as a big movie role. Well, I don't know, it's a big movie, but it's like, yeah, you don't apologize. We understand you work for a living. Take the role. We don't mind. Someday maybe she'll come out to Erie. Who knows?
And that's when I first.
She's some nice lady from just contacting. I don't know what she's like.
Yeah.
But just from my communication, she seemed pretty cool.
And she was.
Greg's talked to Danielle on the phone a few times, and he says she's a really nice lady. I think she might have gotten married now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I forget who she married, but check out stuff by Jim Mickle and Joe R. Lansdale. But yeah, this is probably a good book to kind of introduce yourself to Lansdale, because it has a variety of styles, from intense dramas, regular dramas, horror, comedy, and you get to see a wide range of stuff. And he's a very talented man.
Oh yeah, and I mean, the weird thing with Tiffany Shepis was, I mean, I think that Mulberry was the second wave of the 8 films that died for, and she was in some movie about a mask. She had a small scene at the beginning. I was like, who's this lady? And and then I found out that was my first introduction to Tiffany Shepis. Right. And then, after the movie, John and I saw a couple of a new Roger Plant.
Robert Plant. I think you said Roger.
Roger. Oh my God, Robert Plant. My mouth moves quicker than my brain.
Yeah, I get that way too. I was stumbling over my words a little bit ago.
I get real self-aware now. I'm doing videos.
Yeah, Robert Plant. Yeah.
The May Ship, I think it was called.
The May something. It wasn't Chip.
Oh, okay. May something. Wasn't Mayflower.
It wasn't Brian May. Robert Plant's thinking about Brian May.
Oh,
that would be
they
weird.
uploaded it in May. No, it was in April that they uploaded that one, I think.
But, it was pretty good. And then I introduced Jason to, not personally, but a video of Blackmore's Night, Richie Blackmore from Deep Purple. Oh, I remember he was, bitching about working with Dio and Rainbow, which was all Richie Blackmore's project. Yeah. He kind of hired Dio and his band, then fired all of his band. That was, what was it? Back Elf, because I think it was his band Electric Elf, then just Elf. Yeah. But then Blackmore hired them to do Rainbow, and then fired everybody but Ronnie. But then I think I read he was bitching about Ronnie singing all these songs about medieval times and stuff and fantasy, and I hate doing medieval stuff. Now it's all he does.
Yeah.
It's like medieval rock and roll, Dropkick Murphys and Flogging Mollies do Celtic rock. Well, he does kind of a medieval rock now.
And the blonde singer is a knockout. You said he might be married to her?
Yeah, I think that might be his wife. I can't remember.
Well,
he's a rock and roll star.
Yeah, I know. Just like, Rob Zombie's married to Sherry Moon Zombie.
Yep. Well, the way he said Sherry Moon Zombie made it sound like his sister.
Oh, no, no. Oh, no. See, more.
You would have to add zombie at the end because that's obvious.
Yeah, Sherry Moon. The Sherry Moon lady. Yeah, Sherry Moon Zombie. Yeah, no, this isn't Borat. Yeah, but I really like that.
All right, we better go before Jason gets stuff in more trouble.
Before the cops come. And,
so it's not the
I really like that. I'll put the link to Lita Ferry in the description. Just check her out and say, sub to her channel and say, Jason sent you. Thank her for doing the awesome request a thank you from my buddy for letting me know about Cold in July. I never heard of it before.
Yeah, it's a good movie. I turned a few people onto that, but I don't think it did well at the theaters. I don't think it got a big release, and I don't know if I knew it was by Jim Mickle. I saw it, and now I won't doubt him because he's done some really excellent movies. Sort of like the guys that did at least the first Saw movie. They did a few other movies. I'm like, I shouldn't doubt them. Like Dead Silence, I thought was good, and a couple others. I'm like, I'll go check them out. But yeah, so now I'll do the same thing. Jim Mickle almost had him out. I was trying to get him out to the Horror Fest because a guy that, now he's the manager of the Erie Philharmonic, went to school with him, and he was reaching out to him, trying to connect with him, but he was probably just too busy filming Happen Leonard. But what I wanted was to be cool to have him and at least Joe come out, and Nick, and show Cool in July. I don't know if they would be able to got like Hall or Shepard or Johnson, but just those three would have been pretty cool. So I said, and if, when you reach out to them, tell them that land sale's been out to Horror Fest, so I could tell you what we're like, because everyone liked the Rops because they're a family. It was a family-run festival. And people liked that and thought they were treated well. And that's a big difference because some of these guys have said, some of these festivals, they're not treated very well. Like Fred the Hammer Williams, who's in the movie MASH, played in the first Super Bowl and a lot of blaxploitation movies that he starred in and directed. I guess he was saying that he was at some festival and they weren't really paying attention to him like we try to pay attention to our guess. And so he found out there's a blaxploitation festival down the road, left for like a couple hours and made a bunch of money, came back and no one knew he was gone.
No one knew he was gone? Oh, wow, that's really bad.
Yeah.
And that's a big star, Fred Hammer Williams. He was in Lucio Fulci's New Gladiators I saw off Troma. I guess Troma acquired that film. Cool. I'm a big Fulci fan.
Well, so we always we'd have people we'd call runners, or you could call them gophers, that would check up on the celebrities. Hey, check up. And I got kind of annoyed at one time because people hadn't checked up on. We had the Boogeyman out there, not the old timer, but the younger Boogeyman, pro wrestler. He came out and I was walking by. Hey, you need anything? Yeah, I asked somebody for coffee. It was 20 minutes ago, so I got kind of annoyed. So don't worry, I'll get your stuff right now. But usually our team does a pretty good job of checking up on guests, see if they need a break, and somebody to watch your stuff, get coffee and water. Or some of these places they wouldn't check up on people. It's like heck, the owners would go to the airport and pick up people, and I would too, pick up some of these guests. Like the first time I met Brian O'Halloran from Clerks was I went with Dick and Mavis Rupp to pick him up at the airport, and that was the second year he's there, and he recognized, hey, isn't that your guys' van? He recognized it from the previous year.
That's cool.
Yeah, he's a really nice guy. But anyways, we're off subject.
Yeah. Well, because wrap it up probably be off subject anyway, but it was just like, when he mentioned Gopher, that's not Gopher from Love Boat. And when John was saying, the movie's called Cold in July, that reminded me of Christmas in July. And the very first time I ever heard of Christmas in July was when they used to have those things in the 80s from Mace Electronics. Oh. Now everybody says Christmas in July.
Right. Yeah. I think Joe wrote a second book. I can't remember the title of it. It's like Warm in November or something like that. So there is a sequel. So hopefully they'll adapt that to a movie too.
That sounds cool.
Because this first one was very well done. So check it out. It's on Netflix Instant. I don't know if it's on Amazon Prime. It might be too. Wherever you guys watch stuff on. Yeah,
I mean, it was a good show. I'm glad John told me about it.
Yeah, I think it was 2 hours, too, if I remember correctly.
That's something like hour 40. That's close enough. Yeah. I mean, some of these movies are like that. It's like growing up with usually the horror genre, they'd be anywhere from 80 minutes to 95 minutes.
Right.
If a horror film was over 95 or over an hour and 40 minutes, that was considered a long movie back then, not by today's standards.
Right.
And like I said, Marvel Infinity War is 2 hours and 20 minutes. That's why we were surprised that Dark Tower was only 95 minutes.
Yeah. All right, well, that's all I got to say.
Yeah, that's all I got to say, too. I hope you liked this review, and, we threw a whole bunch of stuff into these reviews. I'm glad we did. And until next time, bye, please. Keep my hands. Take care of my legion.